Yo, what's up, guys? So, actually, there's an interesting concept that I wanted to share to you. So, upon reading the book, you call that is story worthy, and I forgot the author, but the book is called Story Worthy. And from there, he explained the concept with regards to the assignment forever, wherein in order to capture an interesting story, what you have to do is to become a better capturer. Capture in a way that every fleeting moment that you thought is interesting, that you thought is memorable, you capture it through note taking. So, yesterday is December 19, 2023. I decided to capture some notes and I wanted to share it to you. So, when writing notes, what I did is I just written down the keywords. Like, for example, let me read this one. December 19, afternoon, Echo Park, Bayang Magiliw Film, Lapu-Lapu, Andres Bonifacio Cedula, Jose Rizal Naruturan, Trio Akla, Photobomb. Going home, separated Payong Romel, Diversion Jeep, Ate Girl Scolded. So, it quite seems nice since to other people it doesn't make sense. However, for you, it's clear as day because this keyword is like an anchor for your memories to go back in that specific moment. So, what I think it's interesting here is that years from now, you may forgotten it, but after going back to these keywords, is it will help you remember. Like for example, on test, there are instances where you already forgotten it, but upon reading the question, you saw a keyword, and that keyword specifically triggered your memory into answering the correct ones. And in similar sense, my hypothesis or my guess is that this thing work in the same way too. And it will help you in your communication skills in a way that if you run out of ideas, you always have something to look back upon because we people we love to hear stories, especially the interesting ones. So let me explain to you what this keyword means. So this means that it was afternoon yesterday when I am on the Echo Park with the 12 Ford, my classmates, and we go there for the purpose of the filming of Bayang Magiliw. And in there, there's an actor like Lapu-Lapu versus Magellan, and the boys in our section, like we literally costume ourselves into the tribal, like we have no clothes and only the color black, black shorts only, and Lapu-Lapu have a long hair and have a tattoo there. And what's interesting is that Echo Park, of course, it's a park, and it's interesting because yesterday is really not the rush hour or the day where there's a lot of people, and in simple sense it's like there's only few spectator there. However, we also felt embarrassment because imagine 1 hour no clothes and they're taking the film over and over again. And it's very funny because in Filipino words, the term fight or lusob in Tagalog, it's like laban, lusob, like that. However, my classmate Joshua, he rephrased that to the word tang ina, and whenever he shouted at one, we have a tribal war like, "Wah!" And we felt very funny because every time he said that, like we felt that we changed the script of the history and nah. But if you're Filipino, you will realize that that word because it's not good and it's foul. And after that, there's also an we film about Andres Bonifacio where Marco played this role, and quite funny because there's not much of bloopers. However, there's a lot of mistakes that happen, like mabuhay ang katipunan, and there's a lot of gaps, and that time we burst into laughters. Like imagine retelling the scene over and over again, and yeah, it's fun. It's quite strange actually, looking back to the moments. Like, when you look back to it, what you feel is not that actual sensation, but what you imagine is like a series of moving pictures. And I think it's quite funny because if yesterday what I feel to that situation is like moving pictures, moving sceneries, what more could happen 10 years from now, 50 years from now? Like, maybe the sensation, the emotion that I felt have already passed away, but the thoughts, the essence is still there. Like, this is why many people, I think, says that do what you want, make choices without regrets. Because at the end of the day, that feeling, that embarrassment that you overthink from other people really do not matter, because you yourself, once you look back to it, you just felt, ah, okay, 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 like that. And of course, yours truly, during the time I acted as Jose Rizal, where specifically I was, what do you call that? That squad. I was being shot at the back to emulate the what happened to Rizal during his death. And we taken that scene several times. Like, imagine falling for more than 5 times, retaking, and after I go home, long, the black slacks, the, what you call that? In Filipino it's called pantalon, but I don't know in the ano. But the long slacks, the pantalon, there's a mud in there, and it's really hassle moving it, because once I start to remove it, it really do not remove because the mud has dried out like that. And I think it's quite strange because I'm speaking but my voice seems to be funny, or maybe like this. And it was funny because in that Osiris suit, I am the only one with that American style. And when I run, I emulate Naruto. And what's funny because Naruto, there's my classmate here and there's my classmate here. All of us are facing each other and doing like this. Like, we're almost kiss each other, but it's just a joke. Photobomb. This photobomb means a situation where Romel and my classmate Will, actually Romel is an academic achiever in our class, and funnily because due to our culture, grade 7 up to now grade 12, like it's almost 6 years, right? During that time, we acted as if we are gay to Romel. Like, whenever Romel there, we will act like boss, boss, boss. And that attitude also go to that yesterday, where every time Romel take a picture, we will say boss, boss. Nah, quite gross, but it's funny. Now, let me share you a story. So after that memorable events, I go home, right? And when I go home, I thought that Romel, Alea, and Lucia, we four will go home together. However, interestingly, I take the jeep at the first seat, but they didn't follow. Although it may say, well, it's fine, bro, it's fine, bro. But that's not the case. What I'm trying to emphasize here is the lesson that not all people who you expect will be there for you, will always be there for you. There will be at times, like 90% of the times, where your expectation is not being met by their actions. And during those situations comes the biggest question. You know what it is? Are they really your friends? Or no? For me, it's quite sad because although I'm a social butterfly, like everywhere I go, I can easily connect with them, like, bro, fist bump there, fist bump everywhere, cracking jokes with the girls, cracking jokes with my boys. However, once you start walking to the path of self-improvement, what's interesting is that it's very rare, especially in our school where there's only 1,100 student population. And being in that small school really means that having someone with similar traits as me, similar mindset, is very difficult. Like in our batch, grade 12, there is no one who I can become with friends. Like, if you walk to the path of self-improvement, in real world is quite sad. Like, just like what Hamza said, walking to that path, that initial path, will make you lonely. However, once you start to build yourself, the physique, the success, you'll realize that as you gain these, sooner or later, you will attract more and more people who are like you. And that's what I'm looking forward. Maybe not now, but 5 years, 10 years from now. So going back to the story, too much MMK, yes. So going back to the story, when I go home, I see that grandmother and her granddaughter, where that grandmother is scolding her granddaughter because she didn't follow the instructions carefully in that huge box. When she see it, she got slightly irritated and talking to her, and it just kind of reminded me of the days where my mother is still alive and there's me. Whenever my mother scolded me, like, you know the feeling like you will just grumble while she's not looking, like ako may ano, like that. And although I'm not directly looking at her, but my peripheral vision see her that she's doing the same thing that I'm also doing. And what's interesting is that during that moment, you do not appreciate all their efforts that they did for the past decade. Instead, you are focused to the negativity of the present moment, that you've forgotten their sacrifices, their love, and their commitment to raise you. And this leads us sometimes to being ungrateful or sometimes talking back to our parents. And I think it's quite sad that instead of just listening, happily absorbing their sermon, their sermon, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. See, doesn't matter. Yeah, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. Like, those people who you're ashamed of when that happened really do not think much about that. Yes, in the present moment, they will be disturbed and they will listen, but 10 years from now, they will have forgotten it. Just like this event that I've forgotten unless I've written the keywords here. Always do your best for your future self. Well,